I'm Mac Hammett. I grew up in Anderson, South Carolina. I now live in Mount Pleasant. I practice psychotherapy and have been in practice doing that for 30 or more years in private practice. I love life and I love people and I love adventure. I am a world traveler and I spend a huge amount of my time on the water. I love being on the water and around the water on a almost daily basis. I have a yearly goal of being on the water for 100 days a year, and I am pretty good about practicing that. I sail sailboats and I surf and paddle surf and windsurf and anything that has to do with being wet. I'm there enjoying it. I also paint and I am an oil painter, and that's my hobby. And I've been doing that for the last 7 or 8 years and find it to be a very enjoyable, enriching, and inspiring experience. I've always been from childhood a nature person. I I'll go out into the woods and I can sit at a river or a waterfall or just deep in the woods and just be quiet for a long time and have experienced a real powerful connection with nature when I'm sitting still and have always wanted to be able to communicate that with other people. I tried doing poetry and don't know that I'm such a great poet. And somehow painting scenes has enabled me to make that sort of expression of the connection that we can have when we're in nature. And then waves have helped me have that same sort of experience. So when I surf, there is a sacred, magical moment when you're on a wave where I feel very connected to the harmony and rhythm and magic of nature and life and tides and gravity and the pull of the moon. And I just feel like I'm in the center of things. So I like to paint waves, and as I'm painting them, I'm trying to enable another person to have that same sort of unifying experience with nature. Waves do that for me, and sitting out in the woods does that for me. And it's a very inspiring experience that I'm trying to express. I started taking painting classes with Eric Johnson, and he taught me about realism in painting in that vein. And Eric is in working in Brevard now. And then I also took classes with Joyce Hall. Both of them taught me about realism painting and attention to details. And that was very influential for me. And then I discovered Bill Jameson, and he works in Saluda. And Bill has taught me a lot about connecting realism with impressionism. And Bill's art seems to do exactly what I'm trying to accomplish in my art, and that is to allow the viewer to enter into the scene and feel or experience that oneness that one can have with nature. I've been historically, or the great artist. I had a Bierstadt painting of the buffaloes. It's the Buffalo Trail and the impending storm that was in my room and all through college. And I've been very inspired by the Hudson River painters and church and those realistic scenes of the American West were very inspiring for me along the way. And then I have run into Caspar David Friedrich, who does existential paintings where he makes an expression of humans in the midst of the grandiose expressions of nature. And that's at the core of what I'm trying to do. But when I do paintings, I don't put people in them because I want those that look at the painting to be the person entering into the scene. I'm really fighting against our natural tendency to make nature into an object and rather trying to get that sense of inclusion. I started painting as a release, and particularly a release in the winter when I wasn't in the water. So I practice psychotherapy daily, and it's a very stressful thing to enter in and be connected to people that have problems and struggles. And painting was my release. It allowed me to let go of that stress and get very focused on just the job that was at hand. Putting paint on the canvas became a very relaxing experience for me. And the more I've painted, the better I've gotten. And I'm wanting my paintings to allow other people to have a connection so they can release their stress by looking at a painting and being included in the natural scenes.